Hi again. This video is the last one and it's a little bit longer, and we talk about things that you should know something about when you are in helping chat. We are talking about addictions, crises, and for instance suicide. So very important things, but we wouldn't cope very deeply. We only kind of make a list and a few words how to deal with these issues. And to learn more, you can study, and also this service can provide you more material of this. So let's look those PowerPoint slides. Welcome. We start with addictions. Addictions are characterized by cyclical nature, where the people move from one step to another and sometimes takes a step back. And it is very important to remember that relapse therefore could be part of the process. It is not necessarily the end of the process. And there's no shortcut helping with addiction. And it's very important that you remember yourself that there are more steps going forward. We should also recognize the person behind the problem. It is good, this I mean the helper. It's good for helper to remember that people make their own choice. And also they have the right to continue their destructive lifestyle. So what about crisis? It's a huge issue, but we go only not very profoundly about crisis. Facing and coping a crisis affects various ways for people. It's very good to help to be familiar with stages of crisis and the grief when you are helping. And also, perhaps quite often, we need to show the person to professional help. A crisis is a situation on suddenly change in which the previous experience or psychological resource of individual or community are not sufficient to understand, manage or cope with it. So it's kind of new situation. And when we have a new situation, we react different kind of ways. Crisis can be divided as a developing crisis and traumatic crisis, which can come suddenly and they can develop a long period. There's kind of phases in crisis. The good phase is the action phase, when a person have a kind of plan to move forward and he implements it. The need of help mainly concerns feedback and encouragement, and if necessary, creating concrete ways coping with a problematic situation. So when the person has already decided that I will get away from this, they need feedback and encouragement. And then the maintenance phase, the goal has already achieved, but this change kind of is also maintaining, but there's a lot of need for help, kind of to help the emotional things and preventing the relapse. So, problematic sexual behavior. Quite often when you are chatting with people, they act wrong way. They could be kind of breathing out calls where the client is masturbating the same time. Or some callers can ask a lot of questions about how often I can have sex and about masturbation and about sex addiction and so on. And what about paid sex? They are also kind of way to kind of amuse themselves, and they are not really asking for help. Also, this field needs not a professional help because there are sexual crises, which are traumas, abuse, incest, and so on. So we must be aware that those things are too much for helping chat. Only loneliness and lack of relationships are also topics of concern when for many contacts. For many of the contexts, this helper may be the first person who they talk about something that has caused them a lot of shame and perhaps even guilt. Therefore, it is important that the on-call officer, the helper, treats all contacts with respect and appreciation. So there could be in this field a lot of people who have totally different kind of values that the helper has, but we must respect them and we must hear them, and this is not the place where you can make them guilty. So, suicide. There are many factors in life, such as traumatic experience, difficulties, lack of support, and they are causes for suicide action. uh, its outcome cannot be predicted, but it can be anticipated. The client certain often experience kind of need for help. When they are contemplating suicide, they also have sincere and unconscious need to find someone or some solution to their problem. So, how do I deal with a person who is thinking about suicide? The issue in discussion includes, for example, what kind of suicidal behavior he has going in his right now, what kind of self-destructive behavior is visible in the near circle, what kind of suicide tools the client has. The knowledge that they can be in contact and discuss the situation is a possibility for those at the risk of suicide. So when they can talk, I have a lot of experience about that, but when people keep on talking, they don't so easily make suicide. There's rarely a clear reason for suicide thoughts. This can be explored by asking, for example, what relief the person thinks suicide will bring, and what kind of help they hope for, and what kind of helps them to cope with the difficult times and past. Tell them that suicide thoughts can be overcome, and that research proved effective help for suicides is available. It is necessary that the call emergency center if it look like this. So if the person gives his permission, you can provide their names and address. And here in this app we have all the numbers, those crisis numbers in English and also in Thai. The person on call should also take care of own well-being, because meeting with people with suicide things, it is very stressful. So you have to have a place where you can chat about this and relieve your heart. I feel same when I have been drinking again. That is the drinking problem and addiction. But here I say only that it is possible that the client has consumed a little alcohol when he's have a conversation, and the conversation is going quite smoothly, but the difficult to understand the words and the conversation is rambling. The helper should consider what to do, whether to continue or end the conversation at that point. This was very brief way to tell those difficult issues that the helper can face. But it's important to remember that you don't have to do things that you can't. So ask for help, ask person to search professional help. And as I told you, in this app there's all those crisis contacts in Thailand. So I wish you a good life, and this what you are doing and studying, it's very important. It's meaningful and it helps also you. Thank you for listening.